being in person. I know that that is so controversial right now, but something that I can confidently say today is you put me in front of anybody, you put me in a room full of people, I'm going to shake as many hands as I can. I'm going to leave with as much opportunity as I can.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to make your first million? And today we have with us Maggie Rose Macar, which is the founder of Zant, a platform that helps mental health professionals manage the practice more efficiently, save them time, and they are allowed to give back low-income individuals and students. So I think, Maggie, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Harry, thank you so much for having me. So yes, my name is Maggie Rose, and I am the founder of Zant. And just as you said, we help mental health providers, also coaches and counselors across the country. We're based in the US right now, but also expanding worldwide very soon. And for us, what we do is help give these providers, coaches, counselors, therapists, 80% of their time back, when right now 80% of their time is focused on admin headaches, marketing, PR, everything in between to manage their practice. We help give them that time back. So instead of 20% of their time in sessions, they're now spending 80% of their time in sessions. They're better serving their own clients, but then they can also give back through different programs that we offer, a marketplace of young people in need for as little as $25 a session.
Wow, fantastic. So Maggie, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
All right. So, you know what? 5 steps. The first thing that immediately came to my mind is being in person. I know that that is so controversial right now, but something that I can confidently say today is you put me in front of anybody, you put me in a room full of people, I'm going to shake as many hands as I can. I'm going to leave with as much opportunity as I can.
Mhm.
I think as a founder, we're all trying to be efficient with our time. We're all trying to almost not go out in person because we want to reach out cold because we know that we can blast 1,000 emails in a minute. But the truth is that I think today, especially since COVID, being in 2024, going into 2025, I think that I have learned the power of being in person. I mean, just events, the last 3 events I've gone to, just one after the other, we've had investors who have actually invested into our company who I've met through those events, just being able to shake their hand, build that trust, and work with them. So the first thing I would say is get out. Go to as many events as you can, be in person, shake as many hands as possible, which you also got to work on your handshake. You can't go out with a weak handshake. You got to come from a position of power always and be in person. Soak that up. I would say the next, kind of tip and trick that I would say in that 5 is focusing in on your operations and your process, your standard operating procedures. As boring as that sounds, it is so vital to a
Absolutely.
startup. Building a process, having documents, I don't care how many documents you have, if you have those organized and you have procedures that anybody can pick up and learn, it's going to help your company, it's going to help you grow, it's going to help you scale, because that training process for the next person you bring into your company, you don't want to have to spend so much time holding that person's hand. You want to give them those procedures. You want to know what happens if something else happens, something goes wrong, something goes right. You want to know where to go. So focus in on those procedures, even if you're just spending time trying to figure out which procedures to build. That's really, really vital. My third is test and experiment. There's actually this really great book I recommend to any and every founder, period, especially if you're just starting out. It's called The Lean Startup, and it's by Eric Ries. It is so worth the read. And something he does focus on in that book is the fact that as a founder with a product, you need to experiment. I think as founders, we try to race the clock to get something out there as soon as possible. And we're almost building something, and he talks about this in the book as well. You're building something that you think other people need. But the
Mhm.
real learning and finding that product market fit actually starts when you launch that product and you focus on experimenting, because it's not going to be perfect. But that those experiments and the data points that you can collect doing surveys, having your early adopters, experimenting, testing, changing things, your product's going to evolve. And that product's going to evolve into a product market fit that you're going to be able to build a business model around. Another thing is building the right team. I
Mhm.
think many founders start at the same place where they're like, I have no idea how to build a team. I've got my own advice on how to build that team and where to find those people, but everybody's going to have their own unique way of approaching. It could be meeting somebody at events. It could be working with interns who end up growing in your company, who you end up, making them your first hires. It could be so many different avenues of finding that team. But with that team, those people, I think it's a misconception to think that your founding team should not put in almost as much work as you do. There's a difference between your founding team and your first employees, and you want to build your founding team. They're not going to put in every blood, sweat, and tear that you shed for your company, but they might be able to get really close, and those are the people that you want. And you know what? I also will throw in another one here, which is that I really highly recommend every founder works with an executive or leadership coach. It's actually something that at Zant we offer founders. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, as founders, this road is lonely, right? And it's something that we feel very misunderstood in. It's something that can feel very distant from other people. And so I highly recommend get an executive coach, work with a leadership coach. That isn't for people who have the luxury to have those type of professionals in their life. You can go to Zant, you can find a professional. I'm happy to set you up with somebody. I've been working with somebody. It's that third party person who is not your family, is not a friend, is not going to judge you, but instead their sole purpose is to level you up as a leader. And that will help you think differently about KPIs and data points, as well as achieving your first million. So, and then going above that million. So, I really highly recommend that you work with a coach. And I think I might have given you a bonus one in there, but those would be my five, for founders, entrepreneurs today, just to get started.
Wow, I love the 5 step, Maggie. That's amazing. So now tell
Thank you
us a
so
little
much.
bit, yeah, a little bit more about yourself. So what happened? Why do you become an entrepreneur? Do you have a family? Somebody in your family is an entrepreneur? Something happened? A friend had an accident? What happened? Why you
Yeah.
decide to become a founder, a tech founder, women in tech and founder? Do you know how complex it is? Do you really knew in the in the mess that you were getting into? It's very risky, but you. So what
You know
happened?
what?
Tell us.
Yeah, you know what? I never ever thought I would be an entrepreneur. And my story is a little sad. It's actually very sad. But about 7 years ago, I was on track. I was studying in school. I was completely financially independent. I didn't have my family in my life for a little bit, and felt very alone. Was going through a lot just as a young person, dealing with different stressors that my peers didn't have to go through that I was going through. So I already was dealing with a lot that I didn't really know how to cope with. I thought I wanted to be an attorney, by the way. So that would have been the career I probably would have gone down. And during that time in my life, I was working full time in New York City, nothing fancy. I was just a server. So I was just waiting tables. And that was paying for my college, and that was paying for my livelihood. And it was just work, school, sleep, repeat. It was just this grind of almost survival in a lot of different ways. And then, unfortunately, during that time, I lost a really close friend of mine to suicide.
Mhm.
And when that happened, I had so much difficulty coping with that loss. And I had so much difficulty understanding something that I would never understand, that I hit my rock bottom. I wasn't going to school. I was having a lot of trouble going to work, and finally realized I need to talk to somebody. But no, that was not my first, reaction wasn't, oh, let me talk to somebody. Let me find a therapist. Oh, I'm hurting. That wasn't it. It was going through these motions and dealing with so much and then realizing I'm not the same person anymore. And I feel so lost and broken. I'm scared of what could happen next. And so I went online, just went to Google, just started searching for therapists. This was years ago before COVID, before we had different resources, before everybody was using different apps on your phone. And so I just went to Google and I was endlessly searching, contacted so many people. And I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of energy that it takes to contact people and tell the same story and talk to so many people to try to beg for an opportunity. Whether it's I couldn't afford something or I can't wait longer than 6 months, which there were 6-month waiting lists that I was being put on with different therapists. Yeah. And so long story short, I ended up getting very lucky. And I had one therapist who said, listen, Maggie, if you actually work with me and take the time to dedicate to this battle, which is going to be an uphill battle for a little bit, I think I can help you. And I'm willing to do that for $10 a session. Wow. And that just completely changed my life. No, I did not all of a sudden go, boom, there's a company. But what happened through that journey was, I went back to school. I changed my major to psychology. My pain turned into passion. And I realized I had this sense of urgency to do something for other people and help young people who are struggling. I had no idea it would turn into Zant. And it took that evolution of myself, that evolution of working with nonprofits and working with advocacy groups and trying to understand really why the system was so fragmented and broken to begin with, to then go through COVID and come out of that and realize there's got to be a way to connect young people with therapists who are willing to give back for as little as at the time $20 a session. And that's how we started. Zant ended up being a way to connect people and evolved. Look at where we started in the beginning of this conversation. I said to you, we are now helping mental health professionals, coaches, and counselors manage their practice in one place and enrolling them into programs and giving them a way to give back. And that evolution started with a simple application that said, therapists who want to give back, join us. People in need who need services, join us. And as we evolve, we realize we can make the greatest impact by helping those who help other people. That's what helps us help people. And so, that's the evolution. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur, but here I am. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs start with something that's very close to their heart and starts with something that, they say there has to be a solution. I'm going to be the one to do it.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.